Hello, hello, hello. Hey, you guys. It is your girl, Miss Mouthy. We are here today with our Juneteenth edition. And I wanted to talk about all the things as far as Blackness, what it means today in society to show up as your authentic self and to have audacity. I think one of the things that has been humbling is to see how people try to humble Black folks in so many different regards, whether it is politics, society, transness. I couldn't think of a better guest who could talk about this from a great experience and lens. Y'all might know her from everywhere, not only from the incredible show Pose, but I first came across her with her incredible initiative of trans tech. It was something that was incredible to see a trans woman doing amazing work and providing opportunity for communities. And I was just like, oh my God. Then I had the pleasure to meet her in 2019, right before COVID. I just want y'all to honor someone who I look up to and admire, Miss Ross.
Hello, Miss Mouthy. What's going on?
Hi. Excited for you to be here.
I am so glad to be here. I love when I get a chance to be in community with the girls who are, building their platforms and willing to amplify our stories, because people need to hear about things from us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. First, before we do anything, I want to give you an opportunity to pop your ish because you are the greatest. And what I love about girls like us that rub the status quo and let them know exactly who you are and put some respect on your name.
Well, I will say this. I may look young, and I girl, you listen, the girl's aging, and I know it comes in it, however it comes, I'm okay with it. But I know some people don't believe that I'm 45, but I am a whole 45. And
Okay.
so what that means is I have been in this movement. I've been doing this movement work
Absolutely.
for decades. I did not just pop up here. I did not just read a book and then start talking. That
Yes.
is not what happened. I am both theoretically trained as far as being in the fight of social justice and creating change and reading the authors who are, of social justice threads and all those things, but also, um, you know, there is a truth and wisdom that is in the lived reality of trans people that has not yet been captured by academia. We just now get to see pieces of it because we are now being authors of our own stories. But so what I have to let a lot of people and had to set some people straight out there who thought that they could just who thought they were going to come up against me to call me the trans J.K. Rowling's.
Right.
You have got to be out of your mind
Exactly.
for someone who has created the space that I have, and I fought for that space with my own money, my own sweat, blood, and tears. I have fought for this. I know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I know how to catch a predator, and I also know how to make room for people in our community. We have to have the ability to have accountability and do both things. We can't
Absolutely.
just be a free-for-all for everything. So we have to have some leaders who are experienced at creating standards and quality of doing things, quality of care. So I've been around long enough to know these things. I'm always willing to be accountable, but what I've learned is I'm accountable to people I'm in community with.
This part.
And what I've realized is when we hear the word or the phrase LGBTQ plus community, we think that we all singing and dancing under the same rainbow umbrella, and we're not. We're
Okay.
not even all in here and showing up for the same reasons.
Yeah.
Some of us transition for a bag.
That's true.
Let's be real. We know
Let's
some
be
of
real.
the
Call a
let's
spade a spade.
let's be real. I mean, and some people learn through their transition how not to be so superficial and transactional with their
Absolutely.
transness. But you are talking to someone who is anchored in their transness in a spiritual way. I understand transness as a calling.
I love that.
And so what I am here to do, I realize, what? I can't sit here and try to compete with the girls who want to compete with the algorithm.
Come on.
because that's not what I'm here for. I'm
You
not.
have a purpose.
I have a purpose, and what I'm going to do is just inspire our community to always rise to the occasion, to rise to the occasion that is now, that is a challenge. We all, when you think about ableism, when you think about abilities and all these different things, again, I am someone who has learned to become a leader of those who are differently abled, in the sense that,
Absolutely.
so everybody has different challenges, right? And
Absolutely.
we have got to create an environment that supports people in those challenges as a community, but that doesn't like exploit those challenges for the algorithm.
And I think one of the things that I'm learning as I'm still growing in what I call my own personal leadership is that being accountable, you first have to acknowledge that there is something you need to accept you made a mistake on. Like one of the hardest parts was me
Yeah, you got
accepting
to
that
admit you're wrong. Yeah.
yeah, that I can cause harm. Harm can be done to me, but also I can cause harm because I'm a spicy bitch. Okay. Um, so one of the things that I'm starting to see is especially with Dominique Morgan is that I'm watching how people in real time is having this notion and commentation about her situation, but yet I don't know if it's veer in wanting to see a transform and harm by the justice system or not being able to allow humanity to show up in a ways that people make mistakes. So if anything, do you have anything to add to the conversation of what we seeing in real time?
I mean, yes, what's happening in our community is unfortunate because, again, like I told you, I've been around for a long time. This is not the first time I've seen this happen.
Yeah.
With this Dominique situation, for as much good as she's done also a lot of harm.
Yeah.
We have to understand Dominique. This is her second time around when it
Yeah.
comes to fraudulent activity
Activity.
and being charged by the state. So we gotta like kind of be a little bit Maya Angelou with this. When people tell you who they are, believe them the first time. We gotta
Yeah.
be a little bit about that as far as being cautious and putting people around money again. You
Yeah.
ain't gotta throw people away, but hey,
We just won't put you in the Treasury Department.
we don't
We
want,
gon'
it's not just gonna put you in the Treasury Department right now until we
yeah.
know, whatever. But also, for as much as that she's done, it's like what folks don't understand about organizing is about building community.
Yeah.
With Dominique, what folks need to ask themselves is ask girls who are actually in the community.
Yeah.
And then when you get to ask that, you're going to get different responses, because just like men who assault women or people who are assaulting people, they might not have assaulted you
Yeah. Come
or
on.
harmed you, but they harmed somebody.
Yes.
And that does not absolve their relationship with you, does not absolve the harm they did with someone else. And
Absolutely.
so what I was not aware of, especially when I came to Atlanta, there were people who warned me about the way that Dominique moved that were in community and people that I trust.
Yeah.
I have ran Trans Tech now. We're about to go on our 12-year anniversary of being around for 12 years. And for almost all of those 12 years, thank you so much. For almost all of those 12 years, we have gone underfunded.
Yeah.
I remember, no Tino shade, no
No
Tino
shade.
shade, no Tino shade. It was Dominique Morgan who actually told me, inside tea on the sense, because she was in, the philanthropy world handling
Yeah.
grants and, donors and all these things or whatever. And so she had worked at different places that Trans Tech and I had applied for over the years,
Yeah.
for funding. And she told me, which kind of affirmed what I realized from other folks too, that there was always these assumptions that she got it,
Yeah. Yeah.
that because I guess I got famous on TV after a while or whatever happens, I got it. What you mean I got it? They barely
Yeah.
paying me what I should be worth on this show.
10 times fold.
And I got, not to mention, you got a team. People are starting to understand that, if you in that lane, it's money. You know what I'm
Yeah. It's
saying?
more bills.
It's
Yeah.
more bills across the board. So like the inside tea was, even though we were applying for these funds, that they weren't giving it to us because they considered other trans organizations or just other things to be in more need or what have you. So
Absolutely.
no tea, no shade on that, but I would just say over 12 years though,
Yeah.
they couldn't find a moment to fund us. So we have survived off of the donations of the community and
Absolutely.
of people who have gone on into successful jobs and been willing to give back to the community and our allies and things like that. And you know, we luckily we were able to get like, so for most of the time that I'm giving some context. I want to give
Yes,
some
of course.
context here. So for most of the time that I ran trans tech as a black trans woman, I did not pay myself. And the
Absolutely.
reason why I didn't pay myself, because as I was fundraising and trying to get in the funds, people seemed to be very hesitant to donate when I would also mention that they would go to operational costs, which would mean like
Absolutely.
funding me too. And then all of a sudden people didn't want to fund me if it was going to be going directly to you. You know,
Absolutely.
we do work in an environment sometimes that think you're supposed to just do this work for free or what have you, you
Absolutely.
know? But that's not it either. You know what I'm saying? So when we, you know, most of the years, I mean, I didn't take a dime. Most of the time I was
Hmm.
like reimbursing myself for costs that were I had to pay, you know, on behalf of trans tech.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm really grateful for with that situation is that Allied Media Projects out of Detroit has
Yeah.
been our fiscal sponsor for all 12 years. They are an incredible sponsor and they keep us squeaky clean when it comes to the finances and the accounting.
Yeah.
So if anyone had any questions whatsoever about where our money is spent, there's just clean records to show where the money is gone, especially because we
Absolutely.
haven't gotten a lot of money to be able to manage. So that
Yeah.
is, there's one side of the critique. Well, I guess we ain't gotten millions of dollars to mismanage. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we haven't
Yeah.
even had that opportunity. But so when you know that trans organizations get less than 1%
Hmm.
of funding, you've got to be a steward of that. You are being entrusted with that very limited show of support that we get from everybody outside of our community. And so, you know, I've been around Ruby Corrado.
Hmm.
I've been around when other folks was on. I won't. There's other
Yeah.
names.
You know
I could.
me.
It's a lot of names out there, and I don't want to regurgitate a lot from the past. But it's just like, but we are seeming to have different standards sometimes for folks.
That part.
You know, so I saw that when things came up around Ruby Corrado, and the the information around her mishandling of things came up, folks were really ready, for her neck to have her head on a stick,
Yeah.
pretty much, and others, so only some of us were still, even though we know what the situation was, we're still talking about some sort of restorative justice over incarceration,
Yeah.
because again, I will say that I have learned from abolitionists to stand and lean more as an abolitionist. So I don't ever
Right.
want to see any of our sisters,
Locked up.
behind
Yeah.
bars, no matter what. I do want to see accountability, though. I
Yeah.
do want to see that. And so what I know is that girls like girls who mishandle things or make things murky or whatever, and it's been other folks too,
Yeah.
they've made it, I'll say, for me personally, they make it extremely hard because the reality is Dominique knows exactly what's going on, because she was trying to, the case she has been building, and the judge knows they weren't really playing that, but she was trying to basically try herself as innocent in the court of public opinion. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And creating an influencer vibe where she's gained so many followers.
Yeah. Because
Can I
what people don't
wait?
realize.
Can I say that? Can I just make a point that followers are not community
Yeah.
necessarily? That they don't automatically equal community. When I came into DC, I'm just gonna give this for context. I'm gonna give this for context.
Yeah.
When I came into DC running Trans Tag around 2015, Ruby Corrado was running House of Ruby, Lords was running Trans Women of Color, Hayden Moore was over at HRC and what have you. And that, so when I got into DC and started hanging with those girls, I realized that the girls who had the relationship with the funders or grantees we're behaving very mafia like with those connections.
Absolutely.
And basically we're like, if you down with me on my side, I can get you connected with these funders and get you connected with these people, but you got to not like her, and you got to. So at the time it was Joanna Safredo. They was doing this whole campaign against Joanna Safredo for no reason. It was really something so small, but and they were going after her, and so they were like, if you don't take this, so I wasn't taking sides, and so that started to become my problem with both of them or all of them, is like I wasn't taking sides with things.
Absolutely.
And I remember one time Lord said to me, and Lord's will be cut it straight. And I'm gonna tell you, Lord's Ashley Hunter is someone that, for others who have created harm in other spaces, in the movement or whatever, but for all the different things, I'm always still able to honor and value the contributions that someone has given. And when I tell you, she taught me, she actually, Lord is one of the people who radicalized me
Yes.
and helped me wake up to the whiteness, wake up to the foolery of it. She was somebody who could literally turn white guilt into cash, like an
Yeah.
ATM. You know what I'm saying? And so, but her and I got into an argument one time because she saw me having lunch with Ruby Corrado and Hayden at HRC, because they were helping me with some funding with Transtech or whatever, and literally sent me a photo on my phone that looked like a spy across the street has sent a photo of me sitting at lunch, girl.
Girl.
And girl, she's like, I don't appreciate, I don't take kindly to people commiserating with my enemies or something she said or whatever. And I'm just like, so then I said to her, I said, Lord, I just feel like you would just cut my throat or something. I said I would turn my back and you would slice my throat. And she said, no, I wouldn't. She said, I would face you. I would do it facing you. I would cut you facing you. And I knew then that I had such a high respect for her, because she taught me something in that moment. There were boundaries of a lot of things, but there were just something in that moment that I learned, though, around being forthcoming with especially with the people that you consider your comrades. So many times she would teach me that we don't fight each other over white supremacy. We don't fight each other over that. So I'm saying, I'll say that with all these clicky stuff, I came down to Atlanta. And so when folks were telling me, oh girl, I don't really fuck with Dominique like that, she moved funny and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, and it wasn't like no receipt. It wasn't nothing obvious at the time, but I think they were also trying to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? So I just was, going through the things or whatever. But if you talk to different people who are in community, who've had different engagements, they're going to give you a different story. They're going to give you how she moves. And again, I'm not here to fully just drag her and her business, all these things. But I know people in the chat sent me all kind of things from a time when she's working on other things, and somebody's saying, like, as a black trans woman wanting to get mentorship from her, they felt like they were at a gossip circle, and that this person was just gossiping about other leaders and not giving them the actual resources that they were needing. Those of you who know me and have been fans of mine and have followed me for a long time know that I'm mostly an accidental advocate and activist.
Talk about it.
I'm a musician.
Yes.
I'm an actress. I was doing that from diapers. I had 12 years of musical theater under my belt as I was graduating high school. And I'm not just talking about the school plays. I'm talking about our city theater troupes.
Right.
And when I was being cast in those plays, I started to get the lead role almost every year.
Yeah.
So I knew that I was prepared for going into this world and being a star and doing these things. And then I had a, realization and revelation that I was trans. And that started to bring up a reality of the limitations around what was available to me in that moment.
Absolutely.
Because it wasn't that it was impossible. What it was that two things needed to happen. the environment that I was in was not prepared for me, right? It's not
Right.
prepared for trans people a lot of times to step into these
Yeah.
spaces. And many times what we don't realize as trans people also in these beginning moments, this is a information for us to understand that we might not yet be prepared either.
And I was just going to say that one of the things that I thought about was like, these moments with doing mouthy, I was like, why is it not taking off? Why is it not hitting? I wasn't prepared. I was still in a place of survival, trying to get a check, trying to get out of depression and all the other things that I was facing. And I wasn't strengthening my craft. And I wasn't ready to receive everybody knowing I was trans. So that was a whole different lane that I had to sit with and be honest that if it was meant for me, it will happen no matter how long it takes. I trust and believe now that I'm valuable. And I think that's been having a different output on how people perceive me and not give a damn. Now I just don't give a damn. If you like me, you do. If you don't, oh well.
Well,
But
but but I'll say this, one of the things, and I know that recently I think there's been some revelations of Malcolm Gladwell. He's this author, white author, being problematic. But again, surprise, surprise, with
right.
whiteness, But there's a book that I read called by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, and basically what it helped me to understand about myself
Yes.
was that I was the kind of kid that wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. And many times I would stay after school and I would lock myself in the piano rehearsal rooms because I didn't have a piano at
Yes.
home. So I would just play the piano for hours. I would sing for hours. I would do, So
Oh,
the reality is that I've had a decade before I was even trans. You understand what I'm saying?
right, right, right.
Meaning before I even realized that and was living that out loud, I've had that experience. And so all it is for us is to understand that anything we want is ours. As long as we're willing to go through the process of the growth that needs to happen for you to take
Absolutely.
advantage of that opportunity. So I'm giving all this context to say that I knew I was a star. I was great. Like people, I
Talk
was a
about
ham.
it.
When at the end of the thing, people were standing ovation. Every role
Yes.
I did, people was talking about, that girl stole the show. This, that, and the third, and blah blah blah. At that boy at the time. But
Yeah.
all the different things. And so I was really heartbroken when I realized that I was not going to be able to at that time become the star I wanted to become and be myself out
Right.
loud. It's so many black people. Billy Porter was one of them who was in the closet during his early, musical
Yeah.
career. You know what I'm saying? Just to sing R&B and play to a crowd. And so, I couldn't perform straight if I tried. I
Yes.
was failing at performing, boy. Like
Yes.
they was like, girl, give up. That's why I was getting teased so much. And that's why I tried to go to the military to change that. But I say all that to say that it is in my flesh and in my bones
Yes.
to be a performer, an entertainer, to create, to basically translate society through creative means, and there's so many different ways that I can do that.
Yes.
But then all of a sudden I realized the world was telling me, not you, tranny,
Yeah. Exactly.
but not you
Exactly.
though, not you, darky,
Yeah.
not you, not you, faggot. So,
Yeah.
so all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, but I'm me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to make a way. So I'm going to have to advocate for myself. So I became an advocate for advocating for my damn self to be
Have to
able
be
to
there.
just to have a job at Applebee's because my ID said a different name on it than whatever.
Yes.
And I fought the EEOC, even though they said I did not have a case. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been on so many sides of this, fighting legally, fighting, name changes, all these different things. So I know what's at stake.
Yeah.
I come from a time of understanding before the internet boom. I
Yes.
was one of the people who was protesting not just Ryan Murphy for his tragic portrayals of trans people in Nip Tuck and other things, but also calling out RuPaul for, ooh, child, you got she-mail.
Gmail.
You
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah.
Now,
That is back.
any of us girls that are the girls know what banner we fought against that word she-mail.
Yes.
Whether
What?
it was people trying to call us she-males or whether it was our whole identity being reduced to a internet keyword to sell ass,
Yes.
but
Talk
not see
about
us
it.
as a whole being. And that's what happens is that's why you need folks like us who have this experience to know that it's not always been an external fight. It's been a fight internally too.
Yes.
We too have been transphobic and homophobic, and we have to understand what that looks like.
Yes. And one of the things that you have always represented for me, um, when I talk about your audacity, was the ability to walk away from shit that you knew did not serve you. At what cost? You know what I mean? You worked so hard to get where you were at and pivotally choose to walk away when disrespect is met. Why is this?
Well, I think I'm a, here's what I will say.
Okay.
I recently put out a video where I kind of brought myself to the carpet in ways to take responsibility for the ways in which some people have turned me off and
Yeah.
and muted me. Because oh girl, here she go again
Mm-hmm.
with the activism and with especially when it comes to Palestine or whatever, when we got
Yeah.
trans stuff to worry about, all these different things. I also just want to point out to our trans community and to those people who are trans who are listening. I know you felt I know you felt the silence, the silence that came from everybody as they started taking our IDs away,
Yes.
as they started taking our documents away, as they started approving conversion therapy and transitioning trans people in prisons and putting trans women in men's prisons. I know all of a sudden all those allies, protect the dolls, all this stuff or whatever. I know you felt that silence. It was
Mm-hmm.
strong. I know you heard it. Tell me you didn't hear the silence. And so if you heard and felt that silence and how fucked up that felt, can you imagine having your whole environment and home bombed
Absolutely.
with your tax dollar, with American tax dollars? All this stuff happening and people being silent about it and not want to say anything because it'll cause too much. It may break up some of their friend groups, or
Mm-hmm.
people know they support these people or that. So
Yeah.
I just want to point to the universality of silence, because silence is a power of that oppression counts on. They
Yes,
count on your silence.
they
So
do.
they're counting on their silence to not know how many people actually do fuck with trans people, how many do people do actually support us.
Yes.
So, it's for me, having that audacity comes down to an understanding of how I value truth.
Yes.
And I will say this, it's not to say that other people I'm not going to say outright that other people are out here lying to you. What I will say is that our parents taught us that there's more than one way to tell a lie,
Yeah. That's true.
right?
That's
And
true.
and so what I know is that also this ain't no game. In Buddhism, we have a saying that says voluntarily accepting the appropriate karma.
Mm.
And what that kind of leans to is also a saying of suffering consciously. But what that means is to understand that suffering is a part of this life, whether you're a baby or you're old age. You do not get to go from birth to death and not experience pain and suffering.
That part.
But what we can learn to do is, instead of numbing ourselves and trying to check out of the pain or run away from pain, is that we listen to the information that it gives us, and that we learn to choose to suffer consciously. So what that means is, I understand, Ryan, that you could take this at any moment.
Yes.
So if me saying free Palestine,
Yes.
if me calling out white supremacy,
Yes.
if me calling out transphobia, even from gays and lesbians,
That part.
if any of this offends you, then I guess you have a decision to make. Because I'm going to be me and I'm going to show up and be authentic. It's on other people not to. And
Yes.
so what I understand is this ain't no game. So that means that yes, Ryan could take those things from me. So what I did was did that standing 10 toes down, not be shocked or at a moment where I wasn't prepared and now all of a
Yeah.
sudden they took it from me. I was playing the game. I was playing along. Didn't y'all know I didn't say anything? But
Right.
no, of course you didn't say anything, but the jig is up, girl. White
Hmm.
supremacy don't need you. Tokens get spent.
That part. That part.
So at some point, the truth will be revealed, and folks have to deal with things in hindsight about what they did and how they behaved when they knew what they knew.
Yes.
And so, but what I do have to still provide space for is you ain't gonna never see me sitting up here putting too much onus on black trans people about it,
That part.
because I can't believe I'm up here running a third party campaign as a deputy campaign manager as a black trans woman. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
listen, I'm glad that I'm doing these things or whatever, but I'd rather be doing other things and acting on TV too.
Yeah.
I'd rather be doing those things too, but there's more important things, girls,
Yeah.
than makeup and being seen on TV.
Hmm.
And
And they don't give a
followers.
damn when your transness is at the root of whatever harm they want to cause you. And it doesn't matter political and celebrity. Every trans woman who has been known in history had to make a sacrifice at her own womanhood. And that is the problem with society now. Every time a trans woman make it, they dismiss or dismantle the accomplishments. You is where's your fucking Oscar? Where's your Emmy? You get what I'm saying?
I do get what you said. And that's when people get confused about the mission.
Yeah.
Because when it is more important about the glam, when it is more important about you and the show around you, when it
Hmm.
is more important about you being not an activist, but an activist slash celebrity, I guess,
Yeah.
because that's how this is going now. Because this is where I say that somehow I somehow there were so many moments where I was like watching a train wreck in slow motion, but didn't know how to do anything about it, because I want to encourage girls to know that they don't have to be just beholden to a drag stage doing drag and
Yeah.
lip singing somebody else's songs. You got a voice. I don't care how deep it is, bitch. If you can sing on tune, sing.
Sing it.
Sing it. You know what I'm saying? And plus, when you learn to actually use the muscle and get into the mixed voice and all of that, like us trans folks, we got vocal power that we just haven't tapped into. So
Come
I
into it.
wanted I wanted to show trans people as an actress that
Yes.
you can you I can act my ass off, honey. And I own that. I own
Yes.
that. I don't need nobody to tell me that. I own that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I wanted to show trans women that they could do that and they could do anything, but I had to pivot to show trans women what was important. That's what that is. So sometimes you got people who are coming up who are straddling this line and thinking that activism is a pathway to celebrity, and it's not. Don't get
Or
it
a
twisted.
coin. Or a
Or
coin.
or a coin. And the truth is, it is a pathway to a coin when you got girls who are creating nonprofit work like sex work.
Yeah.
We are back on the block, and grants are the new Johns.
Yeah. Talk about it.
And so, and girls are throwing other girls under the bus so they can
Under the
keep their
bus.
John. Yes.
Yes. I'm
So
seeing it in
what?
real time. I've experienced that before. I just told myself now that looking for a mentor in a process where girls is trying to make it, I can't take it personal when a bitch don't want to fuck with me or she feel threatened by me. I'm just trying to figure out who I am in the movement, my place, and I want camaraderie, but I'm not kissing your ass. I'm not
So
making.
let me tell you something about that too, because you're going to find a very very nice place and
Yeah.
community, because um I have been that girl who I don't have much, because when you talk about the things I talk about and whatever, the ads or the algorithm and many times the community ain't trying to hear what you're talking about all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's not really, I don't have a lot, but I do a lot with what I have. And so with what I have, as I'm building my platform, I'm behind the scenes working on some things where I'm literally creating a community of trans podcasters, creators, and voices, and showing them how to build their own platform,
Yeah.
and giving them community to, like, to not to have a situation where they learn by doing, not only through their own podcast, but by being like co-producing in other girls' podcasts.
Yeah.
So like, if your podcast is on a Wednesday and somebody else is on a Thursday or whatever the case is, then there's ways for us to help and contribute to each other's platforms,
Absolutely.
while also learning how to edit our videos, how we might want to do captions or whatever it might be. So
Absolutely.
it's not that this would necessarily be where you would live, that you would be doing the captions on your things. What it is that you would learn how to do all of these things yourself,
Yeah.
if that is what it requires, because you don't have the funds or the budget. And then when you do get a budget to put someone on, you know the quality and the standard to ask for from that person, because you could do it yourself.
Absolutely.
I don't need you to do bad. I can do bad all by myself.
Okay.
So you will be in community. I got some things that are going to be launched soon here that I can't talk about, but they're very
Okay.
soon. Some platforms I'm going to be launching that are actually going to empower voices like yours to be able to not only have a brand and a platform that will amplify and uplift, but
Yeah.
while it's doing that, it will help you uplift and create your own brand.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
for that for one. But let me also say congratulations on the engagement. I'm a lover girl and just watching this season of your life. Okay. Can we talk a little bit more about that? Like, what is it now to be loved out loud with all that's going on?
You know, I will say that meeting Adebayo, you know, it is like the movie Waiting to Exhale, because I just feel like I was like,
Yes. Yes. I love
there,
that for you.
there you are. Okay, there you are. And
Yes.
feeling confident, not having anxiety about it. Not having
Absolutely.
anxiety about him cheating on me, or me
Hmm.
not being woman enough, or him not understanding why I care so much about the trans community and do this work, because he's trans too.
Yes.
Him not understanding colorism, because he's a dark-skinned black man too.
Hmm.
So, and him doing amazing, beautiful nonprofit work with helping folks seek asylum in Canada, especially that come from places like he came from in Uganda, that were being
Okay.
very anti-LGBTQ, very violent. So
Yes.
he got asylum in Canada so many years ago, and since then created his organization that's helped over 400 people get
Okay.
asylum in Canada. Yes. So what it's like, to be honest, is it's such an affirmation of my spiritual life, because I have had a difficult time with prayer, in the sense that, as a religious person, let's say as someone who started off in the church,
Right.
as a trans person, it's going to be hard to find a man who's also spiritual,
Hmm.
that then doesn't see you as an abomination, that doesn't
That
turn
part.
around and then see you as an abomination. So it wasn't until I found Buddhism and really a spirituality that really affirms who I am as a trans person. Doesn't make excuses or anything, but actually just affirms like the very nature of who I am, from the breath of who I am. So I don't have to think outside of it. So when I started chanting Nam Yoho Renge Kyo for marriage or a partner, what it does is we're chanting in front of this scroll that we see as a mirror.
Mm.
And the processes of us chanting is polishing that mirror, so that we can see ourselves and our circumstances clearly.
Hmm.
So as I'm desiring Buddhism, and Nichiren Buddhism, we believe that earth enlightenment is earthly desires lead to enlightenment. So it's not where we need to suppress these desires. But
Hmm.
if we bring these desires in a way where we're clearly looking at them and not through a doped up lens or
Yeah.
through a filter where we're not seeing it clearly. But
Hmm.
when I ask myself clearly, I want a marriage, I want this, I want a relationship. So when those things come up, people come up. You mean this?
Hmm.
Well, no, I don't mean I don't want someone who's an alcoholic.
Right.
I don't want so oh you want to get specific. So get
Hmm.
specific. Okay, so I'm now chanting for this specific thing, and as I get very very specific, I'm like, "Well, wait a minute now. I'm talking about a needle in a haystack."
Yeah.
Would you okay, but cuz I'm talking about me being a trans woman and a Buddhist who's leading with my spirit and needs someone who can be also spiritual and someone who can also understand my nonprofit thing and sexually and this all kind of stuff or
All these
whatever.
things. Hmm.
It's such an affirmation to have my prayers come true that Angelica Ross could find her Barack Obama. Do
Okay,
you
talk about it.
but meaning like because we have these archetypes of these men that we want. I'm my Michelle Obama. I want to find my Barack, or I'm my Beyonce. I want to find my Jay-Z or
Jay-Z.
whatever.
Yeah. Hmm.
But especially with the rift that there is between black men and women, there is also that rift between black trans men and black trans women.
Absolutely.
And that there is healing to be found in our relationships, even the platonic ones, but especially those where we go to decolonize our desires and we begin to not dwindle someone down to a body part,
Hmm.
and to value everything that a person is and brings to your life and the ways that they show strength. And my man is a man, and my man is a
Period.
man, and he's my man. You know what I'm saying? So, and he looks out for me, and even though he's not a celebrity, he's not famous. It's not like he's, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like he's a man who does everything he can with what he's got, and I will value that any day than a man who's selling me a dream and
I
cheating
can
on me.
agree. I can contest. Okay. One
And
thing
I
about.
feel like some of us are in this space where we're willing to, we know the girls that are willing to shake a purse
Hmm. Hmm.
at these boys who are willing to be paid.
Yes.
They're for that, and I've seen that very recently with some girls, and so that's the thing is that the money that one thing that people know about trans women is that we're going to hustle
Okay.
and we're going to get it done. From the days that that sex work was our only option.
Absolutely.
When we were doing that and feeding ourselves, we were also feeding other folks in our
That's true.
community at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but we got to learn now that we've got to start to have a more honest conversation around sex work
Hmm.
and around wanting to champion bodily autonomy for all adults,
Absolutely.
but also understanding that there's nuance to our experiences that are a cog in the machine of the capital that runs the world, which is human trafficking.
Yeah.
Human trafficking is not just Jeffrey Epstein and all these the children that they're sexually assaulting,
Yeah.
but it's also how we as trans and queer people are pushed into that space even early. How some of them even sexualize us and identify it before we do, and
This is true.
put a value on that before we have gotten to understand the value for it for ourselves.
That's true.
So when we do this kind of advocacy work, that's why it's so incredibly important for us to practice community accountability in ways of putting the right people in the right positions and not letting people just because they have the gift of gab to be in an important position, because some people who have the gift of gab need to be in a position for the gift of gab.
Yeah.
Communications
Yeah.
directors,
That's
various,
it.
hosts and different things and wonderful things. Doesn't mean you in charge of finances.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things that I also love that you don't shy away from is the colorism that happens to girls. One of the things I've seen in my early advocacy uh, was anytime I talked about being dark skinned in my experience, it was offensive to girls that wasn't dark skinned. And I wasn't trying to take away from them, I was only stating my truth. And then it became her telling her experience on being lighter skinned that again trumps my experience. And then somehow I became on the attack of her experience, not because I said anything, but simply because I exist.
It happens all the time. It's unfortunate. I see that a lot. I even see that now happening. Unfortunately, when it
Yes,
comes to non-binary conversations and what have you, you have some folks who are starting to take up a space where all of a sudden you got black trans women apologizing to them in certain ways, where conversations have become more around the pronouns and not around the safety and violence that folks are actually experiencing,
yes,
and in which ways that folks can be antagonistic in those ways when they're using their privileges. Those, like the white person who went into the LA locker room, as a trans person, whatever. Okay,
yeah,
cool. I'm not trying to disqualify anybody's transness, but what I am saying is, when you're in community with folks and understanding what the community is up against, we're not trying to be antagonistic in spaces where we want to actually create community with women, with other women.
absolutely.
So we have to be willing to put people in these positions, like myself,
Hmm.
who are willing to have complicated 360-degree conversations, and not talk about some things because you're a fan of that person or that's your friend or whatever the case is. We gotta have real accountability conversations.
Yes, absolutely. With that, thank you so much for coming on and popping your ish with your girl. Give me your final and last thoughts and where people can find you.
Yes, well, you can find me at now.missross.com. It is really a space that I've created where the algorithm has no power over me. I am showing other people, you got a Substack, you got something to say. Hey, girl, hey, listen. But what I'm telling you is, you're in an abusive relationship, and I'm here to help you create your escape plan. Okay, so just because that's what's all you got, and they've been good to you, Instagram's been good to you, but you know that they've been stifling your account, or they're really not giving you the reach, or you're really not reaching your followers and all those things, you do not have to put up with that abusive behavior. What I
Absolutely.
want you to know is, follow me over at now.missross.com, and I'm going to show you. It's not you. I'm not just here to take from you, and all I want from you is for you to subscribe. But while you're following, I'm going to show you how to get up on yours.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much for this enlightening conversation. I
Absolutely.
appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And I look
Thank
forward to all
you.
the things to come with you. It's been your girl, Miss Mouthy. Even when you what?
Yes.
Don't see me, you hear me. Till next time.